All right, what's up, everybody? Welcome back. Fastest freaking show in NFL. Absolutely anywhere with your boy, Big Johnny Stud. Y'all follow me up on Twitter at John Legaza Flow, sharper than a damn razor. Same handle over on Substack, where $2 a week get you 5 pounds of shit in a 2-pound box. Find out what all the hubbub is about. Free samples, pin posts, and all that stuff. You know, I'm not trying to blindside anybody as I get the streaming stuff together. Hold on, we're almost ready to do some sharing. So I don't have to stare at my bad, fat freaking face, though. Come on, who picked up on the background? Who got it? No, this is not it. I just have to drop that bit. I got to drop that bit every single show. This is, I wonder, man, I'm outing myself on the age, but it's definitely worth it. Joe Montana, Sports Talk, Football. Remember that shit? Oh man, was that the bomb or what? That was like such a technological advancement. Okay, we're almost there. We're waiting for one more person to jump into the underdog best ball. This is the Dotson or something like that. There we go. Okay, we're gonna be off and running in just a second. I've got some best ball streams up. If you're new, welcome aboard. If you're into baseball, you've come to the right freaking place as well. Though this year I wanted to make sure to really get out in front of the NFL stuff. I waited a little bit too long last year. That's been a running theme for me, trying to get involved a little bit earlier, you know, just digesting all the player moves and the ripple effect. I'm not really trying to draft before the NFL draft, but as soon as the NFL draft happens, I want to be into it. You want to know who went where, how the market is reacting, and where we think we might find some value. So we're still waiting for one more person, and then we're going to dive, into the draft. I'll be talking you through it. Maybe afterwards, if it doesn't take too long, I get you off some of the tools that you get when you sign up to the Substack. All the links and stuff will be in the description. But advanced player stuff, that I think you need, again, uploadable, underdog, and DraftKings ranks. Those will update in real time. I get to them maybe every day or two. Unless there's news, then I do them immediately. And then it kind of happens faster as we get closer. And I think eventually you hit a point where if you're doing any of these, best ball drafts without ranks, I think you're behind the 8 ball. I really do. Ooh, I hit reset to see if maybe it stalled or something. Man, somebody actually backed out. Now we're waiting for 2 people. Usually these underdog rooms, they fill so fast. I tried to not get sneaky, but I wanted to make sure I was in the Dotson before it filled. It's like a lower price point, maybe $8, and a smaller field, which I like. The ones that have a small, max entry. So I don't have to 150 every single thing. And I also like that it closes. So, new information won't necessarily come back to haunt us. We won't get backdoored that way. So, you know what? I guess in the meantime, we're still waiting for 2 people. I guess I could figure it out. Let me show off some of the tools. You could stop looking at my fat face for a second. I have the DK up right now. Though they're both, locked in and synced. There's the best ball stuff for underdog, color-coded. Both of them also have just some critical stats up. Listen, if you're doing analysis during a damn best ball draft, I think you're probably, doing it wrong. Yeah, shit indeed. These drafts now, I know underdog is at 20 seconds. So there's not much analysis going on. You kind of have to know already. Even on the turn, you got to start looking early and knowing what you got. So I have the best ball stuff in ranks. Again, those will update in real time. I'll date them so you know when to upload it. Then, of course, the team level stuff. I'm really proud of the team level data. You can see it up on the board. If there's any audio people, this will be up on the Corked Stats YouTube channel by the time you hear this. yards per game and yards per play. I know it sounds simple, but combining that with success rate and EPA with turnovers, I really love the drive efficiency section of the board, average drive distance, time of possession, first downs per drive. The things that really define an offense overall. Then, of course, detailed rushing and passing stuff, man versus zone, all the pressure stats, two tight end or more, three wide receiver or more. Same thing for defense. I have alignments and allotments and stuff. Right now, I'm just kind of caught filibustering, to be honest. These draft rooms generally fill so damn early and fast that I normally can't even get to any of the promotional stuff. I could talk about the tools all day. I really wasn't trying to. You could see me scrolling through the defensive stuff. I love splash plays. I think that's a really great macro stat. It's just all the, pass breakups and fumble for loss, tackle for loss, big third down, third and short stop, fourth and short stop. Again, that really define a defense. Then I break down defenses for the props that we like to bet. I like to bet reception ladders. So a lot of times slot receivers are guys that can be in line for a lot of catches, even if it's not a lot of yards, schematically. And this is really helpful in identifying which teams are good or bad by EPA, how many catches, yards, and touchdowns they give up. And like I was mentioning, defensive back alignments and defensive schemes, fantasy points allowed, by position per game, which I think matters. QB rush yards, right? Those kind of niche things, running back receptions, the niche stuff. All right, thank goodness. And away we go. Okay, we're about to get this bad boy going. Now, what everybody keen for, a little bit of draft action. Let's see where we slot. And I'm going to just talk our way through. We're at the 4 hole. I have my own ranks loaded, though I'm thinking about drafting by ADP, right? So now I like to be fully transparent. I probably have, 10 or 12 best ball drafts going. That's going to slowly creep into the fucking hundreds across different platforms. And I like to start a little bit slower, but early, work my way in, unless, not to put the cart before the horse, right? No one knows what the hell is going to happen, how this thing is going to shake out, if I'm going to even end up in the end zone. But if you have a good feeling, you really should be taking a stand. This is like finding an edge in betting. If you think the money is there, you should make the play. You shouldn't tell yourself, I only make one bet a week. If there are 10 good ones, you should play 10. And if there are no good ones, you shouldn't play any. So as I've been digging through this board, and again, these are all things we could be wrong on. Nobody freaking knows. But I've been finding myself in a position with pretty strong takes against the field, in spots that are leading me in certain directions. We'll probably talk through some of them. Now I'm at the 4. After Gibbs and Bijan, I think it's Chase. But after that, I like JSN over Nakua. And it's really not anything you're going to find in the spreadsheet. I worry a little bit about the missed time. Like Nakua's style of play, that like demolition derby style, is really a killer. But he's awesome, and there's no shame in that game. He went right after at the 5 where he should have. Then it's like McCaffrey and Taylor, right? CMC and JT. And right off the bat, man, I'm not buying it. I'm not buying it at the price. I think there's, a lot of different problems. McCaffrey, the miles, all those touches. And also the run efficiency stuff, just atrocious. So he's got to be the number 1 wideout. They went in and brought in a number 1 wideout. So not that I think McCaffrey will be bad. And I think running backs are very important in this new environment. But I'm out. on McCaffrey at the price. I'm also loving the backup scenario, a spot that, granted, it's a rake I've stepped on multiple times. Having drafted, I don't know, name a fucking player. It was everybody. I've drafted all the guys behind McCaffrey, been wrong every time, Isaac Garendo and all these damn guys. This year, I'd been liking Kalen Black, though, and I'm very transparent about this stuff. I'm not a prospector. I think not knowing about it can actually help you sometimes because people tend to overpay for them. And in fact, it's funny because a lot of times I will benefit from having rookies on my fantasy team, but it's only because I picked them up after they got dropped. So they have Jordan James, second year. I actually thought, and again, this is, no one really knows. I thought on the depth chart, and who knows what the hell the depth chart is be like. I'm using Football Guys, hat tip to them. So their stuff is excellent. They have Jordan James over Kalen Black. I think I like Kalen Black, especially where he's going. And if you can get the backup in that offense behind McCaffrey, I mean, that's a wheels up situation. Is a really late pick. Now, there's something, a nice little nugget here. Again, these draft streams are going to come off the rails. It's where, whatever we go, we go. But it's something that Josh Norris on Underdog talks about. They do really great work also. I like to, I'll shout people out. Not like anybody gives a crap. They're only 3 or 4 orders of magnitude more popular than I am. But one of the things that Josh will talk about is, I'm trying to put it succinctly, like, not having a take, right? Not taking a stand is a stand almost, or like, that's not even really capturing it. It was more that where you take a bold fade, you should have a discount buy. Now I'm up in the second. A lot of the guys that I liked already went. Middle back of the second is not a great spot. I ended up with George Pickens. I've been trying to avoid the onesie positions. There's a good case for Brock Bowers. I think I like it more. I think I like the Bowers pick in the second more in redraft than I do in best ball because I feel confident about my ability to fill in. Where right now there's a lot of open wide receiver spots that I'm tough to make up for in a 1v1 where you're kind of taking zeros, where I think the tight ends at the end are not so much taking zeros. So back to the point I was making that Josh was saying, that somehow I remembered to get back on track, spinning the bowl. And it's right. So I'm off of a mid-first round pick. So if you're off of a mid-first rounder, namely McCaffrey here, you should be on one of the backups. His play was the point, and again, I kind of disagreed with the general point. The general point he was making, I think it was Kenneth Walker was the example, that he was saying, I was on Walker last year. It wasn't great until the end. I'm back on it this year. But I think he was saying if you're off Walker, which was a darling, he was being moved up. If you're off that, you should be on Charbonnet. And that's something that really stuck with me that I want to make sure I'm deploying, whatever the right word is, at this time around. To be backing up on the, anti-takes, or I guess I don't want to just say fade. Like McCaffrey could get to a point where I like him. If he makes it to the turn, I think I'm in. I've also been pretty vocal, again, early. But you're doing drafts, even through a dozen drafts, you know which ones you really like at the end. And the drafts I haven't liked have been the ones that prioritize onesie positions, either tight ends or quarterbacks. Listen, Bowers in the second could be great, and Josh Allen in the third could be great. But again, it has more to do with best ball and an ability to fill in though the Allen thing maybe not, because the argument that's about to follow is different. Meaning, my worry about Bowers is not that he'll be awesome. It's I think there's a lot of other tight ends that might be good later on that close the gap and therefore throw off the 1v1. The reason why Travis Kelce was so valuable in fantasy a couple of times, right? It wasn't every time, it was a couple of times, was because not only was he doing goat shit, the other people behind him were really bad. So he was a multi-point advantage at the position every single week. That's not really the case. Trey McBride comes and starts to close that gap. Then like Fannin comes in to close that gap. Now he's almost cheap. Guys like Tucker Kraft, that could be monsters if they stay healthy. Kraft could be an absolute stud if he stays healthy. So I just think the gap is closed on tight ends. I'm not really paying up for them as much as I like Bowers. I'm getting ready to come up in the fourth. I've been trying to get my eye back on the prize during these drafts. They happen so fast. So I'm 7 picks away in the fourth. I glazed over my third. I have Breece Hall. He was right at ADP, pick 29. My guys all got sniped back to back to back to back. I was like, I'm 7 picks away. There's 4 wideouts I really like. Zay Flowers, McConkey, Egbuka, and Burden. Burden is still there. It was McMillan who went. I'm not really high on Tech McMillan. I have my worries about the overall, environment in Carolina with the QB play. Bryce Young, Kenny Pickett. You could see that going wrong. Now, I've got my guy Burden. He's next in ADP. My personal ranks right now, I had Evans above. I think I'm going to go Burden. I don't think I have any Burden yet. I have them in a virtual tie. I kind of rank by positions in clumps. I have Evans, Jalen Waddle, Jameson Williams. I had a bunch of Waddle to start, so I bumped him back a little bit. Evans, I think, is fine. Don't worry about the age. But I think there's a million wide receiver 1 targets there. And Waddle also. I just worry about Knicks getting back healthy. They sound like they're bullish on the recovery, but I'm not so sure. I'm getting ready to come up again in the 5th. Now, for me, I think you got to get a second running back through 5. I only have 1. I've been mixing it up. 3-1, 2-2. There goes Waddle. So I'm pretty glad. If Travion Henderson gets to me 5 or 6 picks past ADP, I'm going to take on that. Judkins just went. I like Jadarian Price here, but I think I have him on 100% of my teams. I still have him behind Trevion. So I'm going to go with the step forward on the good offense. I'm going to take the milquetoast road here. Sam Sherman, who just won BBM, was on with Patty Corrine. They do a weekly pod, Legendary Upside. Pat's stuff is fucking great, man. I got to try and get him on. They were talking about the Patriots backfield, and I know Pat was calling it tongue-in-cheek. The boomer call would be Mondre's the starter. I gladly, I proudly represent the boomer crowd sometimes. I'm not sure I'm there. I think, I think he was clearly the better back, and I think he's earned himself a bit of a role. But I think every year, there's something to be said for the second-year player taking that leap, because there really is something very unique about NFL speed, preparation, travel, plus the bitches and the hoes. You know what I'm saying? You got to travel, and if you're single, all types of women just throwing themselves at you. You're balling out of control. These checks start coming in. You can't believe it's your life, So you got to learn how to handle all that stuff. Plus the pressure in the media. Let's say you're even clean of all the degeneracy and debauchery and shit. But you're people, why aren't you touching the ball? Why'd you drop that ball? What the fuck happened? You're out of place. And you're like, holy shit, NFL's hard. You got to see the playbook. It looks like a fucking phone book, So I tend to think good players, especially one that came on, make really good candidates to take the step forward. So, not to glaze my own picks, but I think Trev Henderson, at the very least, is going to be a producer and in the weekly RB2 conversation with, if something happens to Mondre, it's RB1 conversation. And I think I want that too. The guys that I'm not crazy about up front that check every box immediately have pathways to go big time. My next pick is coming up. We're coming up in the sixth. Now is when I start to think about the onesies. I really like Tyler Warren this year. One of the reasons I've been off JT, I worry about the offensive stuff. I think Warren is kind of proof, though. He's going to be the target. Pierce had Alec Pierce, who I did really like, who's coming up in ADP also. I didn't notice he had an ankle procedure, and I don't love that. I just want to see that he's out there and healthy, making cuts and stuff, and no setbacks. I don't want to be paying up for players in the top 70 overall that come with these major red flags. Now, the one player that's kind of popping right now, the YOLO pick, and it's funny, I'm going to do it because I have a close wrap, meaning 6 picks away, and one of the 3 players, right, 6 picks in the turn, 3 players, one of them already has a tight end. So I'm hoping that Warren falls to me. Because I went and took Mekhi Lemon on Philadelphia. Everyone is telegraphing this move of A.J. Brown out of town. I have not leaped on it because I'm worried that it's not happening. Again, this goes to what I was saying before about if you have a take, you should be taking the other position. And I had been drafting Kayshon Boutte on every damn team because I wasn't sold and he's going so late, and I've got to be backing off because everyone, like all the people I trust and everyone is just making it sound so like obvious. 3 of the 6 picks are made, and Warren is still out there. If not, not to say betray what I was saying, I may go with May at 76. That's where all the quarterbacks are really going. And I am taking a bit of a risk. Oh, Warren went right before me. Sniziped on the Warren pick. And now I have a fork in the road. It's all Pats. Do I want to pair Trevion and suck up all the Patriots running back work or go with May himself? Okay, the old me would have gone with the Mondre pick. I went with Drake May. And I instantly regret it. And I'm trying to tell myself that I shouldn't. That mistake that I'm mentioning, playing it safe and being a pussy with the 2 condoms, is not winner best ball play. I truly need to start buying into that. There's so few picks that the people that win hit on the right picks. This is a volume game. This is a strong take game. And the scared money don't make money. It's possible. The Patriots are the type of offense that can feed 2 guys and have them both be, thunder and lightning or whatever. That said, that's not the winning pick. May, when you don't have a quarterback, Drake May with Trevion, right? The type of guys. Not that people necessarily like run to stack QB running back. I don't mind because Drake May, runs, and if they're explosive, you have no problem accounting for the majority of that offense. The wide receiver stuff is a little hairy right now. After, again, people are projecting the A.J. Brown move, but we don't know. And after that, I'm going to try and come down with dubs for sure. I already had, 114 is going to make it tough where I'm slotted. I'm going to reach around. If he makes it to 100, he should. But that's how I like to play best ball also, is sometimes just key up the guy that you really want that fits the piece. ADP is mostly determined by fucking losers. Remember that. You know what I mean? Yeah, Patriots could be really explosive, and I don't think you're going to regret building around that kind of ecosystem. Mondre went. I didn't get lucky. There goes Tyler Kraft. I had mentioned him. Now we're at pick 93, and I find myself hoping that my guy Harold Fannin makes it back. 4 picks to go, only one. Oh, 2 of them have tight ends. Maybe I'll luck out. Only one of them has a tight end. I got to take Fannin, hopefully, and then wait for Dubs to fall back. If Dubs were to go at any point before and someone's paying more than a round premium to get Romeo Dubs without a quarterback pairing, you could have that, right? You have to let people overpay also. That's a good kind of rule of thumb. I'm starting to sweat a little bit. I've got Dubs. I've got Fannin. If I don't get Fannin, it's like, do you want Laporta? Do you want Pitts? I may just drop back. Myers goes. I'm on deck. Guy in front of me has a tight end. I'm starting to feel a little bit calm that maybe it happens, but in these draft rooms, you'd never freaking know. Guy could want to protect Fannin, who he sees as a tight end 1. And if you draft Fannin as your tight end 2, you might not need to draft a tight end 3. And that's kind of part of the calculus. Fannin did fall, so I scoop him up as fast as I can. But there's some of the calculus, right? That kind of real-time calculus that you have to think about with balancing, because I think that's always the argument, as I was saying earlier on, getting away from the onesie positions, the tight ends and quarterbacks. The reason I used to like them so much is because what I felt the undersold advantage was, here, give me a second to scroll down this thing. What I felt the unsung advantage was cutting the number of players in, right? If you take Josh Allen, you don't take 3 QBs, you take 2 QBs. And if you take Brock Bowers, you don't take 3 tight ends, you take 2 tight ends. And that throws off the 1v1s. But then as I started playing more and more with only 2 players at the onesies, like in real time, right? Like actually letting the seasons play out, not just simming and projecting. You really want that third player. The injuries fucking kill, and bye weeks fucking kill, and zeros fucking kill, and it really sucks. In the last couple of years, we've had a bunch of QB injuries also, and your team's dead. Right? If you have 2 QBs and they're both out, even if it's for a couple of weeks, the team's dead. Most likely. And that sucks. Also, I think it's not just me, but I've been a part of this, and it's, I should be swapping the view sometimes. I've been told that helps. YouTube. So while I have a second, support good people doing good work. Again, check out the Substack in the Twitter handle. There's all types of samples of all the free shit. I have a lot of cool stuff going on. Formatted ranks. It's all cheap as dick. And then when we get in season, optimals, plus projections, player props, all of the goodness. And the show, plus exclusive stuff. There's articles and whatever. I've been nominated as the fantasy writer of the year. Big fucking whoop-de-doo. Woo, yay, yay. Doesn't matter. But supporting good people does matter. The employee-employer relationship is broken right now in a lot of places. And the best thing to do is just support, go right farm to table. Oh, I was talking about the onesie positions, right? And quarterbacks, how it just killed me not having the men to man the position. And where I made the mistake that was also going on, assuming that a lot of these late QBs were going to be total ass, right? Total zeros, total dirk. And a couple of years ago, it was CJ Stroud. That ended up not working out. Last year, let's see, I was wrong. I had Cam Ward, who was the win. Shit, I forget. I'm stammering and stumbling right now. But there were players. Oh, Stafford was tremendous, right? He was going late. Guy was sleeping in a fucking airplane tube or whatever before the season started. So just be careful with our projections and range of outcomes. That was the point that I wanted to make. And I think I'd rather have the player than the projection, right? Because that's what you're doing. Your projection needs to be so accurate that you're going to draft fewer players there when maybe having Sam Darnold is good. No, he's not a QB1 every single week, but there are spike weeks, right? I think that was the part of the lesson also, especially if they're on good teams or, heaven forbid, you think they're hashtag good at football. So let's see. Right now, I've got May with Trev, Brees Hall. I only have 2 running backs. I've got to start stacking running backs. I've got a couple that I like. Now, first by ADP is Chris Rodriguez, who I like. Then it's Aaron Jones. Then it's Brooks and Mason. And I wonder if I could sneak through this Minnesota combo. That's what I'm going to try and do. I actually still believe in the Minnesota offense. McCarthy was such a sham. That sucked. But now with Murray, Kyler Murray, who I'm not necessarily high on, we have seen him be functional. And I think that matters because I think that might be at the very least what we've learned from KOC is with not that any quarterback, but any functional quarterback might be enough to get it done. And then who knows, maybe what's his face, JJM, gets his shit together. So because I kind of slacked on running backs, like I said, I'm going to try and sneak through the Viking 1-2 punch. I don't know who I like. I don't know who's it going to be. They both might have spike weeks. Maybe one is trash, one is good. Hopefully, both are not trash. But, two guys after pick 120 that could provide you a little pop. And I mean, I've got Brees and Trev. So, like, I'm hoping to have some firepower. Brees more of an every week guy. Trev more of a hopefully not too rare spike week guy. And then I'm going to fill in with the Vikings. So hopefully that'll hold. A little bit of love. I feel okay about that. So right now it's Drake May, Brees Hall, Trev, the two Vikes, JSN, George Pickens, Luther Burden, Makai Lemon, Romeo Dubs to go with the Drake May. So the wide receivers up top, I think, stand alone. And I could probably score Darnold later on. The rest of the quarterbacks are gone. I've got Fannin, who I get theoretically could pair with a quarterback. I don't know who that's going to be. I got to try and get a TE2 that I like, and I don't think that's going to happen where I'm sitting. I would love for a Ferguson, Kincaid, or Likely to fall. Again, I don't think that's going to happen. Back to pick 140. One of them would really have had to drop. I'm going to need a late tight end plan. Where's what's-his-face? I may end up pushing up a Sadiq, and that's probably what I'm going to do. Because then there's a major drop-off. I don't mind getting with like a Bretton Strange, even like a Barner or Otten later on, even like Farmouth if I had to, maybe Terrence Ferguson, Gunnar Helm. I don't want too many of those guys. I'd like one of those guys. I don't want too many of those guys. Although I did it to myself last year and it sucked. Maybe this year the Tennessee stack is the answer. I was mentioning not having pairs and maybe Helm, that maybe I could get a... Oh, I'm full of shit. Anyway, Cam Ward is off the board. Oh, he just went. Pick 129. That feels rich for me. Who knows what the hell you're going to get. That feels like you're paying for a step forward. We just saw such systemic rot in Tennessee. And again, I could be wrong, right? This could be the big upswing of the season, but a lot has to happen. They didn't really show it. I guess they surrounded him with the talent. I like a lot of the offensive talent, so maybe it's there. But a lot of all or none on the Cam Ward tape. Okay, I'm 6 away. All of the tight ends I mentioned were gone. I forgot to mention, Hunter Henry, the pairing for May. And I wonder if I should spend on tight ends here. I still wanted to see if I could fortify with a running back, but there really isn't anybody I like. That's Woody Marks, Keaton Mitchell. I mean, I like Mitchell behind Hampton. Not that I don't like Hampton, to go back to that point before, but the anti-points. Oh, man, there goes Sadiq. Oh, yeah. Man, brutal. I don't really like God. I don't want Dallas Goddard. I feel like he's pumped up with the touchdowns. And they brought in somebody behind him, right? Did they draft somebody behind him, Stowers? Okay, Goddard went anyway. There goes Darnold, who I just mentioned. So, all right, I can't, man. Everybody around this turn has a freaking tight end. I just don't know if I really love anybody. I do. I want my guy. I don't know if I got the pick off in time. I didn't get it off in time. So, all right, I got my Hunter Henry pick. I was going to go with Jalen McMillan, who I like. He's one of the guys also that, what is it? Is Ted Hurst getting a lot of love? And McMillan is catching a lot of strays, and I think he's good. And I think with Evans moving out, I think he's always like I know he's always produced, and I know he's always forced his way into rotations that we didn't think there was any room for. So I think now with room for him, I think McMillan is perfectly cromulent. Though I got to be honest, my like one of my must picks is coming up, and I'm having a hard time not going that direction. I don't like to speak it before it happens and not put it into the universe. But there is one pick. Oh, and this is another one. So that's the theme of this episode is the anti pick, right? Making the anti pick when you have a stand and going the other way. And this one really kind of threw me off. And it could be a loser, but I think it's a little too valuable. And it's Tyler Algier, anywhere around his ADP. I'm at 148, he's 156 or whatever the hell it is, like whatever. You can't really go by ADP when you're near the edges, I guess. I mean to say. Jalen McMillan went right after me. It was long overdue, in my opinion. I wanted McMillan, but I feel much stronger about the wide receivers here. JSN and Pickens and Burden and Lemon. And even, I'm not crazy about Dobbs. I'm not trying to pump up Dobbs, but I think the Dobbs to May thing, 1+1 = 3 adds a little bit of a little bump there. Where Algier, so again, Bijan Robinson, good at football. Tyler Algier made a career out of stealing high value work from like the best running back on earth in critical situations. Now, granted, I guess some people don't see those short yardages as that. Like, oh, they're low calorie. Yeah, but he earned the job and got them, and then the end zone work. I get Jeremiah Love. My gosh, universal talent. I'm saying, to me, this feels like a repeat of the Trev stuff from last year. Wasn't everyone making the same stuff about Henderson? Now, granted, he was going a little bit later. Trevion, I think, ended up getting pushed, into like the 30s or something? But still, I'm off the Love stuff. You're missing me with that. There's offensive rot. And he has to take a major step forward with massive competition from Algier, who, like, they paid. And the implication, and I don't think I'm even insinuating, I think the direct and like verbal implication was he was going to start. So like, how does you tell me Algier is not the goal line back? That I'm not getting at least the goal line back? I don't know if I'm buying it, man. And again, Love thing could go south. You have to know I joke, but you have to know where to stand. You got to know where to stand. And it's not to knock Love. The player could be great. It's a situation thing. And again, I think Algier is really good, and I think he's just undersold. So this would be funny, and I guess it's fitting. Probably need another quarterback. It's like last call. It's last call on QBs. Brissett is there, and I don't know if he's even a freaking gonna keep the job. You know what I mean? Oh, this is scary. Or it's Bryce Young. I'm gonna have to suck it up, man. Oh, that's whack. Yeah, wait a little bit too long on QBs. I'm gonna have to figure something out here. I really like the rest of the team, and I think May is a potential answer. But I worry about the bench risk with Brissett. Plus, he's like bitching and moaning right now. So who's? Oh, sniped on Bryce Young. Oh, bro, bro. Oh, so brutal. Okay, I'll tell you what I am gonna do. Oh, it sucks. All right, I have Brees Hall, so I'm gonna go. Geno Smith, and then I'm gonna also queue up my guy Adonai Mitchell. This is another anti-take, right? So I'm on the Algier anti-take. People love these fucking rookies. That's what it is, man. And I've fallen for it before and gotten burned. I know they've been in. I'm not saying they've never answered the question correctly, but it's not like the answer. And people love Cooper, right? And for me, Mitchell's like a legit good player and he's got draft capital and he produced. And Gino likes to throw deep outside. You tell me this new guy kid is better outside threat than Mitchell? I don't know. I just think it's Mitchell's job to lose right now. Oh, I'm between a rock and a hard place. I also need, man, that third tight end. I think I'm going to go with my guy Helm here. I've liked Helm before, and I think he's going to be gone by the time he comes back. And he was right around ADP, so yeah, that was kind of my answer there. So at the end of drafts, end game, especially near the ends, you get what you get, and you don't get upset. I feel glad at least that Henry, who I'm obviously nobody should be really too excited about Hunter Henry, but at least Henry really does fit in a May build where you have Fannin and Henry is not your every week guy. I'm going to need some spike weeks from Helm, but I'm feeling good about the way this is rounding out. I'm going to be weak at QB. I don't know what my answer is. I don't have an answer at QB. I don't know the answer at QB. Maybe it's Michael Penix. Right, that Tua is just the backup. That Penix was the guy that he's going to get a shot. Maybe you could play for Carson Beck. That Brissett falls apart. Though people are not very high on him, and I'm not crazy about that pick. Then there's the Cleveland debacle. Or there's an anti-pick on Fernando Mendoza. The thing is, I like Mendoza. The anti-pick on Cousins is possible. I could go with Klubnik, right? That the Jets bust out. Oh my gosh, this is just the worst thing ever. I don't know what I'm going to do. All I know is I'm not going to overpay. I like to go 6 running backs and wideouts, 3 QBs, 3 tight ends, right? That's to go against the onesie stuff I was mentioning. Yikes. That means my door is closed on tight ends. I have 1 wide out to go, and I liked Mitchell. I got 1 QB to go. It's a fucking disaster. I'm going to just get what I get and not get upset. To me, overpaying in these spots is like the big mistake. Man, I could go. This is another one. Am I going to play like a Poussoir or not? And it's so for me, a winning pick or it's the style of winning pick. I need a running back. The losing pick is to pair Breece Hall with Braylon Allen, right? If he goes down, I have the replacement. The winning pick is to say Katron Allen, takes the job in Washington. And the winning pick, again, is Kalen Black. That McCaffrey falls apart, and Kalen Black is the answer. I don't like the Jordan James stuff, so I think Katron Allen, right? Because what they brought in, what's his face? Freaking Rachaad White. Rachaad White is not an RB1. And if you don't like Merritt, I think he's it. But, man, maybe in this case, maybe I do take the Poussoir pick. Because, again, I just need to be avoiding zeros. Oh, I feel like such a fucking vagina doing this. But I'm going to back up this one time and take Allen. Because I think Hall was going to be a battering ram and get a million touches. And if he goes down, I have Gino. If they end up being okay, I have this weird backdoor jet stack going on that I'm trying to keep intact. Ugh. I feel so dirty, but the dirt, it won't come off. So I guess that's it for RBs. I have Mitchell queued up before my last pick at QB. I'm going to just reach. Is there any reaches in the 17th round? Now, let me just make sure that I don't like any other guys. The booty is hanging out there. The fat booty, man. And I had been taking him. But I have to ask myself, if he moves, do I want him where he's going? What if it's like a trade to Philly? I don't know. So I think I'm out in the booty stuff until we get an answer. Torrey Horton is out there in Seattle. Man, I wish I had put together that fucking stack. Right, he was looking pretty good, but I'm going to stick with my guns. I had mentioned Gino with the deep threat, and Adonai Mitchell on the outside. I have a little bit until back to us for the last pick. I could show off some of the sheets on the pass catcher stuff. I'm sure Mitchell was ringing. Let's take a look. Now remember, the per game stuff is not great because he played a lot of games but didn't really secure the role. But he ended up with 74 targets. That was shitty quarterback play. They're going to be better from Gino, right? 24% target per rep, just under 1.5 yards per route, nearly 14 yards per catch, 15 yards per reception. 27% of the team air yards. This is a lot of the stuff that we like. He had 21 deep targets last year. So he's not really going to work out of the slot. He's going to have to play and excel from the outside. But I don't think that that's a lot to ask for. Again, we've seen it. And we saw it with like the most despicable quarterback play. So let me be honest, I'm a Jets fan, right? It was awful. Worst thing you ever saw. But Mitchell at one point was goated. I don't know. I was feeling really good about him in the middle of after the bye, that kind of center section, right? When he had the little breakout, goes 8-102-1 versus Atlanta, down game versus Miami, 658-1 at Jacksonville. And, we showed us what he can do. Again, the quarterback play, very hard to judge him on like Brady Cook stuff. I mean, it was funny. It was when Tyrod was playing, that's what it was. And that was come on, that's the best quarterback play when we're like, if only he had Tyrod all year. Come on, think about what we're saying here. So there is a pathway, again, where Mitchell is good at football and just wins an outside role. And, the rookie has to wait his turn. Again, that, I know no one ever wants to hear that. No one ever wants to hear that. Now, if they want to, the pushback is, well, he's going to outplay him, and by the halfway through the year, then okay. I don't know if that's going to be the case. But that I'll at least concede to. More than like this whole like rookie week one thing misses me. And, again, the Mitchell was kind of a unique case. It wasn't poor play. He had he had off-field or between-the-ear stuff. I never want to knock these guys. I mean, he's a fucking kid. But a second-round pick, oh shit, I'm on the clock, and I need my QB. I'm going Penix. Like I said, I'm just going to hope that was like the most explosive offense to be available to with a guy that could be a 17-week starter. I mean, if you think Tua is going to outplay him, then you either think Penix is really bad, or you should be drafting Tua on every team. I'm not crazy about the Penix pick, but I do think he's a starter, and I think the Tua move, flattened that value. So, all right, let's get out of here. Thanks hope you enjoyed the stream and digging the Joe Montana sports talk football reference. It's a bomb. About to pass. All right, so press the cartoon like button because it matters more than it should. If you're just finding the channel, welcome, bienvenidos. Check out the baseball stuff if you're into it. I mean, rocking and rolling, never stopping. There's a live stream, game-by-game baseball breakdown. There's going to be a game-by-game NFL breakdown once it's hit with all types of fantasy stuff. Going to be awesome. Trying to do fantasy football content a little bit differently where we actually talk about fantasy football. No, this isn't like it's not a fucking game show and there's no we're not going to make fucking memes and shit. I can't believe that's what the content has come to. So I'm going to just do what I do, which is have fun being serious, right? And get really serious while we're having fun. So thanks for picking up what we're putting down here at Corked Stats. Fastest freaking show in NFL absolutely. Yeah. Subscribe and like stuff and pay for stuff. No, I hate begging for shit. Whatever. Check me out on Twitter. I'll see you soon. Enjoy the games, enjoy the day, and when we're done with the book, enjoy the pay. Remember, when you work this freaking hard, man, the winning feels a lot less like luck. Peace out, everybody.